they came at me and they said, Eagle, what do you think of this? Your disc is going to be a claw, and there's not a better opportunity to do something than put a little nick in it.
Hey guys, Johnny Disc Golf here at the 2020 Waco Annual Charity Open, and I am joined by the bird himself, Mr. Eagle McMahon. How you doing, buddy?
Good to be here.
So, big question for a big arm. We're in maybe the tightest woods on tour. How are you feeling about throwing really precise shots this weekend?
I like it. Even though that they're very precise, there's not too much distance on some of the holes, and I have a few cheater routes on some of them.
Ooh.
Maybe like one.
Okay, some over-the-top routes, some grenades maybe?
There's definitely a grenade, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have to get you on lead card or chase card so that we can see it on video. But how's the offseason been? That's the question I've been kind of leading these interviews with for all these guys.
The offseason was great. I had a little bit longer of an offseason than most people did, and I definitely took advantage of it. For the first couple months, like late October, November, I was basically just kind of lying low, taking advantage of no disc golf. I was training a lot of lower body work this past off season because that's kind of all I could train. But then in late December, I kind of ramped up, started throwing again, and basically had the same off season as I do it every year. A lot of disc golf strong, a lot of hitting the gym, a lot of mindset work. Yeah. So it was all good.
Were you in Colorado for the whole off season? And if so, were you practicing like in the cold in the winter and that?
I was in Colorado. I had a few trips to down south. Just was in Alabama mostly.
Oh, nice.
Alabama, visited Eric Oakley, so moved around a little bit. But I started throwing again mainly in January, and actually in Colorado there was no snow in the entire month of January. So I pretty much got out whenever I wanted to. But for me, I don't really focus on playing too much in the off season. I'm more focused on strength and mindset work. As long as I can throw maybe 2 or 3 times a week, that's really sufficient, because once I get back on tour, I'm throwing pretty much every day, and it all comes back to me.
I'm glad you mentioned maybe taking it easy a little bit from disc golf, because one thing like I've noticed about you, Simon, some of the upper echelon players, is you're not necessarily like grinding it out like a lot of these guys every single week on the road. You're kind of taking a few events, flying home, taking a rest. Is that like intentional? And do you feel maybe even any added pressure? So you only get like 20 events to perform at a year?
There definitely is a little bit of added pressure, but you just kind of have to go out there and own it. We're really grateful to our sponsors and to the fans out there. They allow us to be that upper echelon, so we're able to not have to grind quite as much, play some of the in-between A tiers that aren't Pro Tours or NTs. So for us, it's almost better to skip those type of events just so we can rest up, kind of take care of some things back home, but also have a little extra time to maybe hit the gym or work on something with a little less pressure, because going out to play a small event is still playing an event. You're still out there throwing hard shots. So we're really just trying to save ourselves for the big stage.
Okay. Well, how are you feeling now? I mean, you were at Memorial. I believe you skipped Vegas, right? How are you feeling? This is second big event of the year.
I feel really good so far. Memorial, I'd say, it went almost as well as it could have. And I really like my mindset going into this year, just kind of going out there, trying to have a little bit more fun. I kind of get myself, in the past, I kind of get myself wrapped up a little bit too much in performing, which is definitely a good thing, and I definitely want to keep that fire, but maybe hanging out with some friends and not being so rigid some of the time can be great, because not everyone's going to be Paul Macbeth. Kind of my whole philosophy is I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give it my best shot, and if I end up winning, that's just going to be a side effect of how I'm living my life.
Yeah, it seems if I would choose anyone to say like you take the competition aspect of it seriously, like it feels like you spend more time working on like executing when it's uncomfortable is the way I would describe it than anyone else on tour. Like you're always working with Seth about like flow state and keeping concentration. Are you still focused on that going into this year?
It's a constant grind for that, because as soon as you think you figure out one thing, then the next challenge reveals itself. So you kind of just have to embrace that you're never going to fully get it where you want, but it's all about chasing the idea of excellence. That's kind of what keeps me going, keeps me excited. And yeah, it's a good journey.
I bet. One of those moments that maybe you fell out of that mindset a little bit was USDGC.
Yeah.
The third round. I don't think we've actually had a chance to really chat since then. Have you learned anything? Like how did that moment and that experience affect you?
I would hope I learned something. Of course, it was my final event, and I played the fourth round with a broken hand, and I had a lot of things to think about because it was painful beyond that. In that fourth round, down, I think I was winning the tournament to start. And not being able to perform, and no discredit at all to James, but he shot over par to finish the tournament. Yeah. So I'm just thinking, what could have been? But of course, I put myself in that situation, and then I flew home and I had all of the off season to think about it. I had thoughts like, what if my hand doesn't heal? What if I didn't? What if I couldn't play disc golf again? All those thoughts were bouncing back and forth in my head. But after thinking about it more, it was unfortunate. It wasn't the right thing to do, but I will admit I probably punched the ground 50 to 100 times before that. Yes. And I've seen many people punch the ground, and that just happened to be the time that it broke. So I think it got blown a little bit out of proportion because everyone shows a little frustration out there, and all it takes is just that one time for something to go wrong for everyone to kind of freak out about it. But I learned my lesson. I definitely have a way different mindset going into this year. And all I can do is fake it till I make it. And then, it actually works. Like at Memorial, there was a few times where I definitely wasn't that happy. But I just thought instead of getting mad, just try laughing it off. And, you can definitely fake it till you make it. It's definitely a real thing. Yep. If you put a smile on your face, then you'll trick yourself, and then you'll have greater results.
Speaking of laughing it off, one thing I got a chuckle at, the new Razor Claw. Great disc, great stamp. One of those claws is broken.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any say in that?
They came at me and they said, Eagle, what do you think of this? Your disc is going to be a claw, and there's not a better opportunity to do something than put a little nick in it. And fun fact, when that disc is actually released, it's going to be fixed. So it's only a limited run for the Razor Claw. We didn't even announce it, but I think everyone kind of picked up on it. So I really like the fact that they did that. Wow. It was a good little Easter egg.
I love it. Limited release, guys. Get them while they're out now. But how are you liking the disc? Is it in your bag? You find it useful?
Yeah, it's definitely useful. Before I was throwing a P3X and an MD5. I still have an MD5 on the more open courses, but a lot of the time it's taking it out. It's the perfect kind of overstable approach putter. I can flex it through the woods. I can forehand it, and it's great for this course. It's great for every course. So it's something that I've been missing in my bag for a while, because you see people on Prodigy throwing like the A2, people on Discraft throwing the Zone, the Harp, anything like that. So now I finally have that type of disc in my bag, and it's really helpful.
How is it exactly different from the MD5? It seems like in theory they are kind of vaguely similar molds, similar discs.
Vaguely, this disc is more blunt. It doesn't have a mid-range style rim. This is technically considered a putter, okay. So a lot slower, not very much glide. It's at slow speeds, it's going to stick right where you put it. So that's kind of the main difference. Okay,
that makes sense. Off the manufacturer talk, off the business side of things, let's talk about this Waco course. Truly, it's one of my favorite on tour. How are you feeling this week? How's the game feeling? Do you feel like you're going to give it a run for the championship here?
I'm going to do my best. I like the fact that the par is changed because I don't have to really worry about shooting 18 down. Like Paul's round and this layout turns into a 15 down, which is still shredding.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more in my graphs. I just came off a practice round and I shot an 11 down out here, which felt really good. I had a weird bogey on one hole. So I'm feeling if I can go 10 or 11 down across the board. I know there's rain involved, so that might shake up the scores, but it's 50-50. You have some more open style. The open style holes still have woods on them,
yes.
but it complements each other very nicely. So it's a course where pretty much everyone can shred at, but also represents a good challenge. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'd say it's one of the courses I look forward to on tour to come playing, just for the variety, which I really like to see.
Yeah, one of the biggest changes, I guess maybe not one of the biggest changes, but they changed 18 from a par 4 to a par 3. They also moved that pin right next to the water. You running the basket this year?
I don't know if I'm running the basket. It depends if there's water falling out of the sky and if there's a headwind. There's a chance I may lay up on it if that's the case, but any tailwind, I'm probably just throwing a big hyzer, playing for behind the basket, because if you're running the front of it, then the chances of going in the water are pretty high. So if I can get a putt from the backside, that will be ideal.
Okay. Off the serious stuff for a little bit, I want to talk to you because you live in Colorado as like your home base. We don't really have any tournaments that are at elevation though. Are you interested? Like, would you advocate for like adding an elevation style tournament to the tour?
Well, we got Worlds, which is at I think 4,900 feet, which I'm really looking forward to.
I bet.
But yeah, I think no, not to diss Colorado at all, but we don't really have the course for it quite yet. I mean, I would absolutely love to see a big tournament in my home state. I know we have the 303 Open, which is a Disc Golf Pro Tour Silver Series event, but I think we're just lacking that kind of upper tier of property to draw a big event, because I know we have great TDs there. We got an amazing community, one of the stronger communities, I'd say, but we just don't have that property to lay down a big time event.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm now that you mentioned it, I actually hadn't really thought about the fact that Worlds is at like 4,800 feet. What are you looking forward to most at Worlds? Is it the fact that it's elevated and you can just light into those discs? Have you played the Fort? Have you played Mulligans?
I've played Mulligans. I took second place at the Utah Open back in 2018. Never played the Fort, but I saw Utah Open last year, and Matt Bell won. I'm a little concerned about the Fort because I saw a lot of holes under 400 feet. I don't know. Maybe they have a trick up their sleeve, which I'm hoping for. But it's gonna be a very interesting World Championship.
Totally agree, especially the fact that it's so early in the year. It's going to be fun, but we're here at Waco, and I've got a couple more interviews lined up, so I want to get you out of here, though, with a chance to speak to the people, to the fans. You got anything to say for anyone rooting for Mr. Eagle McMahon?
I would say thank you, Discmania. Thank you, Grip Equipment, Whale Sacks, Huck Lab, Disc Golf Strong. Thanks to my dad. Thanks to Ratana, and all the people out there who keep me doing what I'm doing.
Beautiful. And keep doing what you're doing. Special shout out to Pat McMahon. He's right off frame over there. That's all I got for this interview, Eagle. Thank you so much for your time, really. Guys, if you'd like coverage of all things disc golf, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hey guys, thanks for checking out that interview. And thanks again for hanging out a little bit afterwards so I can shout out OTB. Only the best discs. They are fantastic at what they do. They list the flatness and firmness of every disc in stock, as well as $3.95 flat rate shipping on any orders under $75. Man, it's a fantastic deal.